What's up, guys? So we are less than 48 hours away from the launch of ARCHEWORLD, and let's jump into the Blue Salt token. And is it worth it to buy, how to buy it, and things like that? Well, I'm not going to cover how to buy it because it's a crazy complicated system. So there's some other videos out there. It's about 18-minute long, I think, for a video guide on how to do the swaps and the transfers. If you're a crypto newbie, you're going to have to study that video. So yeah, go watch it, go check it out. But anyway, so if you're not familiar with it, it's simple. Just don't buy it. Just earn it in game. You can earn this completely free in game by selling things on the auction house. So that's how most of you are going to get the Blue Salt token. Let's take a look at, is this valuable or not? So it's currently at 19 cents. This is crazy because it started off at like 3.5 cents. And this has only been up for about 36 hours now. So it has 6x'd almost in a day and a half. That is a crazy amount of return. Unfortunately, we were not able to buy it at the 3.5 cent price. We bought ours around 8 cents. And so now we've over doubled our money. That's great. Should we sell it? Well, the answer to me and what I'm doing in this video is yes. I am going to sell this token at 19 cents because I think it is significantly overvalued. And I'm going to show you why. So I did a bunch of research. So after now trying to figure out, is it a good buy? Is it a good buy? Is it overvalued? Is it undervalued? We went ahead and started searching. So we went into Borascope in Google or Bing, and then we found the Borascope portal. Click on that. That takes you to the Borascope, which this is going to show you all of the cryptocurrency transactions. This is the blockchain page. So this is what crypto is all about. It's every transaction ever done, documented. So you can see all the transactions. So over here, we are over at the Blue Salt token. And this actually here is all of the token transactions of the Blue Salt token. So you can see Blue Salt, you can see the NFT transfers, you can see token transfers, you can see token balance. So let's go over to token transfers. And this shows you the history of people buying and selling this Blue Salt token off of the exchange. So you got to do some little sleuthing here, but you can figure out with sleuthing that this account right here that ends in 4938 is the account that is used on the Bora exchange. So this is where someone buys the Blue Salt tokens, comes out of the Bora exchange. And if someone sells, you actually just sell it back to the Bora exchange. You're swapping it to the exchange. You're not buying and selling to other players. You're just buying it and selling to the exchange. So with that sleuthing done out of the way, we can see that there's been a total of about 450 transactions. So if we can go over here to transactions. All right, we'll just go back. Transactions. Search by address, hash time, block number, so you can see all those different those. But we want to go to tokens and NFTs. So we're going to go tokens and NFTs. We're going to go Blue Salt. We're going to click on this, and we'll see all the transactions. So there's been a total of 459 transactions. There's a total of 1 billion supply in the world. But that's not actually all the buys and sells, because a lot of these transactions, you can see all the transaction history right here, is actually to XL Games Eternal accounts. So at the very beginning, you start way back, and you can see day 20, when the token was created. Then you have all these transactions. You have 1 billion created and set up into these accounts. And then they started slowly splitting them off into different game wallets for different purposes. To figure out what these game wallets are, you have to look at the white paper, and you can see they have it split up here. You have marketing, you got rewards, you got liquidity, you get ecosystem, treasury, reserve, partnerships, team, etc. So overall, by doing some sleuthing, there's approximately 110 or so transactions that have all been done via XL Games. So you can see we just go this way, and you can see all the transactions because nobody actually owned the tokens until 1 day ago. And the token ownership started 1 day and about 13 hours ago as of this recording. So at that point, you can see there's been 34 pages left. So that means there's about 340 transactions that have been done by players. That's a small amount of transactions. There's currently 65,000 players on the Discord, that means only a maximum of 340 players are actually holding the token right now. That's a pretty bad sign in my opinion, but it goes into the theory of 99% of the players in a free-to-play game will not spend any money, and only 1% of the player base will actually spend money. So in that sense, it looks very, very correct that 1% is somewhere around that 340 mark. So let's take a look at some of these transactions and see, is there more buys than sells? And the answer to that question is very simple. You just have to look at all the transactions where 4938 is is the seller of these tokens. So most of these transactions, a good like 80 to 85%, is the 4938 account actually selling, giving the tokens away to someone who's buying them. That's a good sign, but then it starts to slow down, and as we get into day 2, you start to see a lot more transactions where people are now selling the token back. But still, there's a good amount, about 80%, that is buy 4938s, and about 20% selling it back to the game. That's a good retention in my opinion. But what worries me is that when we look deeper into this 4938 account, we'll see that there's only been 1.3 million BSLT in this exchange. So let's see if we can figure it out. It's token transfers. So we are now directly in the 4938 wallet. So we can see all the transactions from 4938. And you can see it started here with 1.3 million tokens. It gave some away, but the majority of them have been through sells, buys and sells of players. So it looks like 480 was the first player sell, or first player buy. Next person bought 4,168. So it's a little confusing, but essentially what this means is that this account has only had 1.3 million Blue Salt tokens. That's the gist of it. And that's actually, it sounds like a lot, but when you go over here to the white page and you see the liquidity is supposed to be 100 million tokens. So at that point, you're like, wow, this is only 1% of the entire tokens that is supposed to be in the liquidity pool. So that's a very, very small amount. And when you look at this, you can see how much the tokens that are remaining in this account. So if we go over here, we can see balance, the T balance, and go token balance. We can see the BSLT balance. So it has 563,000 tokens remaining. So out of that 1.3 million that it started with, it's only sold, given away to the players, a little over half of that. And the whole total supply of these swaps is going to be 100 million. Like, there's a lot more tokens coming out, and that's going to put selling pressure on these tokens, and they're going to push the price down significantly. And also, if you look at a game theory possibility, like current prices, the ARC Pass costs like almost $200 for the ARC Pass. Like, that's a crazy amount. To rent a land, it costs about like $60 a month. Like, that's a crazy amount. Like, that's too high for a game theory price. So then there's also this other thing. XL Games will be getting a lot of the BSLT. And they've already said, and it's confirmed, that they're going to sell. They're going to sell a maximum amount each month, not to exceed 0.05% of the total supply. So 1 billion is the total supply. 0.05% is 5 million BSLT. So they say we're not going to sell any more than 5 million BSLT. Well, this is the launch of the game, and only 700,000, 800,000 BSLT has actually been bought. So that means if XL Games tries to sell anywhere near close to 5 million BSLT every single month, that is going to crush the token value and the price. So then you also have other people that are now going to get more BSLT, the NFT airdrops, and so forth on September 1st. And I'm sure quite a few of them are going to go ahead and sell. So not only do you have more selling pressure coming on September 1st, but you also have more selling pressure from the game company who says they're going to sell. These amounts are not newly issued and sold, but rather circulating existing volume. We do not expect a big impact on demand. We intend to sell a portion of our earnings into cash because they need cash to survive. We will handle our earnings as following: 100% of sales to be recognized as company earnings, 50% of the exchange withdrawal fees to be recognized as company earnings, and 50% to be moved to the treasury non-circulated amount. In order to increase the value of the token held by token holders, a portion of the token will be continuously locked up uncirculated. Company to convert a portion of the token of the earnings into fiat currency. That's the big point right there. In order to cover the operating expenses. So they're going to be selling a whole bunch, and they're going to be earning a whole bunch, because if you look, every withdrawal fee, they're taking 10 BSLT. It also doesn't say here, but if we look at the new updated terms of service, they're going to actually take 1% of every deposit as well. So we can see terms of service. We can go revised terms of service. And here's the deposit and withdrawal policies. So they've changed it since the white paper. This deposit fee, there's a 1% of the total deposit amount will be charged as a platform fee when depositing BSLT to the account. So just to put the BSLT that you bought into your ARCHEWORLD game account, they're going to take 1% of that just straight off the top. Then they also say there's going to be, gas fees, which is standard, but there's also the withdrawal fee. So they've changed this. This is the minimum withdrawal is 1,000 BSLT. The maximum daily withdrawal is 10,000 BSLT. So they've upped it significantly. The withdrawal fee is fixed at 10 BSLT per transaction. So every time someone takes BSLT out of the game, they're taking 10. And withdrawal fee is subject to change after prior notice and so forth. But overall, what this means is XL Games is going to be taking a ton of these tokens, and they're going to want to sell them to convert into cash, which is going to bring a lot of selling pressure. So we touched about this before. We thought this is exactly what happened. The spike, the dramatic spike, potentially a 10x from the initial token price, which we kind of saw. We saw about a 6x. We saw this go up from 3.5 cents now up to as high as 26 cents was the highest price point that we actually saw here. But 19 cents is still actually very, very high. And this is why I'm going to go ahead and sell all of the BSLT that I actually have at this 19 cents. Because with all this research that I've done, it looks like the BSLT will be a lot cheaper than this. And if it's not, then what we'll end up doing is we'll just simply buy land, because land becomes way more valuable at that point. So if BSLT stays this high, you want to be buying land NFTs, not BSLT. You can get BSLT by playing the game and selling items to the few whales that are there. There's already only a small supply of whales too, but they do look like they are holding onto the tokens, because we can go do some more research on here and we can see, have the whales really sold anything? And the answer to that is not really. The whales have been holding their tokens and not really selling them. So that's a very good sign that the whales are potentially waiting for bigger price movements in BSLT and not looking to dump. But that also means if the whales do decide to dump, the price could just tank pretty much instantaneously. If a whale who has 50,000 BSLT decides to go ahead and sell all that BSLT, it could take the price of 19 cents and probably drop it down all the way to like 10 cents by dropping that much BSLT. So I think right now is a great time to sell. This is what I'm doing. You do your own research, you do your own decisions. But yes, as of this video, I am going to go ahead and sell off my BSLT, and then we'll just be playing with whatever BSLT I have in my account from the alpha, because we got 300 there, and then we also have some airdrop coming in from the NFTs that we own. But yes, we will be selling right now, and I highly recommend right now, like, yeah, if I were you, I would be selling BSLT. I would not be holding it at this point. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I will talk to you guys later, and see you in the next one.